Ashley Ashley Campbell's father Glen died earlier this year aged 81 after suffering from Alzheimer's when country music superstar Glen Campbell died aged 81 on August 8 this year. He was surrounded by the loving family and friends who had supported him throughout his courageous 8-year battle with Alzheimer's disease. But his daughter Ashley says that along with the sadness, there was a sense of relief that her father was no longer suffering. "I'm glad he's not stuck in that physical state anymore," says the singer-songwriter, 30. "I'm relieved for him that he doesn't have to still live in a fog and be uncomfortable. He wasn't in physical pain, but I believe it was a different kind of pain, of not knowing anything that's going on in your life. I'm really glad he's not suffering anymore." She admits that before her father, whose hits including Rhinestone Cowboy and Wichita Lineman, was diagnosed, she and her family knew little about the disease that affects 850,000 people in Britain alone. The number of sufferers is expected to reach 1 million by 2025. "Our experience was totally different from the media's portrayal of it, so we had to start from scratch and learn as we went along," she explains. Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, causes proteins to build up in the brain, forming structures called plaques and tangles. These block connections between nerve cells, leading to the death of cells and brain tissue. Smoking, high blood pressure, inactivity, obesity, depression, diabetes and isolation in later life are all important risk factors for the condition. Despite a glittering career that spanned 6 decades and included more than 45 million record sales, his own TV show and a starring role with John Wayne in the classic cowboy movie True Grit, Glen's personal life was often turbulent. He married 4 times, fathered 8 children and had problems with alcohol and cocaine addiction. Ashley says there are links between Alzheimer's and certain dietary things that could lead to the building up of plaques and tangles in the brain. "Sugar is definitely not good and Dad loved ice cream, but I doubt that caused his Alzheimer's. I'm sure drug use has something to do with brain diseases like Alzheimer's, but then there are people who smoke their whole lives and never get lung cancer and others who never smoke and then get lung cancer. Nothing is proven with Alzheimer's." She says she first realized all was not quite right with her father back in 2009. Ashley Campbell Glen was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2011, following a positron emission tomography scan Wednesday, June 28, 2017. "He wasn't in physical pain, but I believe it was a different kind of pain, of not knowing anything that's going on in your life." Ashley Campbell had been repeating himself or forgetting where something very obvious was in the house. "I remember him asking my mother where his golf clubs were, and when she said, 'They're in the garage,' he replied, 'What's a garage?' You all started noticing him being a little repetitive and more reliant on us in his daily life. He was always a reliant person, because as a superstar a lot of people did things for him, so it didn't strike us as super odd, and he was always eccentric, so weird things like him wanting to go to the grocery store in his bathrobe and slippers was totally normal for him." Glen was officially diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2011, following a positron emission tomography PET scan at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. Before that he was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. Ashley recalls, by 2011 he was further into the disease, so most of the time he forgot that he had it. "A lot of people with Alzheimer's don't know why they're forgetting things. I never really knew how aware he was, but I think he was a hero in going public with this very personal disease." Other famous people diagnosed with Alzheimer's have disappeared from the public eye after the diagnosis, but my dad didn't want to disappear. Getty Glen's successful career included over 45 million record sales and his own TV show. Remarkably, Glen continued performing live until November 2012, after which he recorded his final album Adios, which was released in June this year. Ashley, her cousin Matthew and her mother, Glen's 4th wife Kimberly, became his primary carers. "We were like a little home team," Ashley explains. "For a long time it was just us. In the earlier stages we'd have to deal with little things such as Dad forgetting that he'd had lunch or diverting his attention when he'd get frustrated with something. She adds, for the most part Dad remained upbeat and cheerful, but there were certain stages when he'd get aggravated and frustrated. Just before we decided it was time for professional help, Dad was waking up in the night, getting confused and leaving his room. We couldn't have that because he could fall and get hurt. So we had to have a motion detector and someone on duty all night." In 2014, the film Glen Campbell, It'll Be Me, which documented his experience of the illness, was released to great acclaim, but Ashley says by the time the movie was finished her father's condition had progressed to the stage where he was no longer able to understand the concept of it. Not long afterwards, Glen ceased to be able to recognize his loved ones, which she says was very hard to deal with. He was transferred to Abe's Garden, a specialist residential care center in Nashville, close to his home. Ashley Campbell. The number of Alzheimer's sufferers is expected to reach 1 million by 2025 in the late stages when Dad lost his power of speech and ability to focus on anything. The only comfort I could give him was to massage and scratch his back and head, get a happy look on his face. Although there have been no new treatments for Alzheimer's disease in more than 10 years and recent trial results on new drugs have ended in disappointment, Ashley is still optimistic about future innovations. I always knew there wouldn't be a cure in Dad's lifetime, she says, but hopefully there will be in mine. That would be incredible. Ashley's mother Kimberly runs careliving.org, a website for carers of dementia sufferers. For more information on Glen Campbell, visit glencampbell.com. Glen Travis Campbell. His album Adios is on sale now.